Arthur Morgan's relationship with Rainsfall in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the clearest expression of what redemption actually looks like in the game, because it isn't dramatic, violent, or triumphant. It's quiet, patient, and rooted in listening. Unlike almost every other relationship Arthur has, this one isn't built on shared history, mutual benefit, or survival. It's built on trust earned slowly, and that alone makes it rare in Arthur's world. Rainsfall is introduced not as a warrior or a revolutionary, but as a leader trying to prevent his people from being destroyed by forces far larger than them. As chief of the Wapiti tribe, he understands exactly how little leverage he has against the US Army, the government, and industrial expansion. What makes him stand out is his refusal to let desperation turn into blind violence. Where his son Eagleflies burns with anger and urgency, Rainsfall carries grief, memory, and restraint. Arthur immediately notices this difference, even if he doesn't fully understand it at first. Arthur's initial involvement with Rainsfall is practical. He's sent to help, to escort, to retrieve, to protect. But those tasks quickly become something else. Rainsfall doesn't command Arthur. He doesn't flatter him, threaten him, or try to convert him. He speaks to Arthur as if Arthur is capable of choosing differently, which is something Arthur hasn't experienced in a long time. Dutch talks about freedom but demands obedience. Micah encourages cruelty. Rainsfall offers perspective and allows Arthur to decide what kind of man he wants to be. The mission where Arthur helps Rainsfall retrieve sacred items from a military camp is one of the most important moments in the game. Rainsfall explicitly asked Arthur to avoid killing if possible. This request isn't framed as a challenge or a test. It's a plea rooted in exhaustion. He knows violence will only justify harsher retaliation against his people. For Arthur, who has solved every problem in his life with a gun, this is unfamiliar ground, and yet he agrees. That choice matters. Sneaking through the camp without killing anyone forces the player to slow down, to be careful, to value restraint. Narratively, it reflects Arthur's internal shift. He is already sick by this point, already questioning Dutch, already haunted by the damage he's done. Helping Rainsfall becomes less about the mission, and more about proving to himself that he can act differently. When Arthur succeeds, Rainsfall's quiet gratitude carries more weight than any reward Arthur has ever earned. Their conversations deepen this bond. Rainsfall never excuses Arthur's past, but he doesn't condemn it either. He speaks about loss, about watching his people die piece by piece, about trying to preserve culture in a world that sees it as an obstacle. Arthur listens, truly listens, and that listening changes him. For perhaps the first time, Arthur isn't the one being judged or used. He's being understood without being absolved. The contrast between Rainsfall and Eagleflies is also crucial to Arthur's arc. Arthur sees himself in Eagleflies, young, angry, convinced violence is the only language power understands. He tries to warn him, not as an authority figure, but as someone who knows where that road leads. When Eagleflies is killed during the assault on the oil fields, the loss devastates Rainsfall, but it also confirms Arthur's fears. Rage doesn't protect the innocent. It just gives the powerful an excuse to crush them. Rainsfall's reaction to his son's death is one of the most emotionally restrained moments in the game. He doesn't scream or demand revenge. He mourns quietly, carrying the unbearable weight of knowing that love and patience weren't enough to save his child. Arthur witnesses this and is shaken by it. He has spent his life believing that strength means dominance. Rainsfall shows him that strength can mean endurance. By the time Arthur helps Rainsfall leave the reservation, Arthur is no longer acting out of obligation or strategy. He's acting out of responsibility. He knows he can't fix what's been done. He knows the Wapiti won't be safe forever, but he helps anyway. That acceptance that doing good doesn't require guaranteed success is central to Arthur's redemption. Rainsfall never tells Arthur he's a good man. Instead, he thanks him for his kindness and warns him not to lose his way. That restraint is intentional. Redemption in Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't about being forgiven by others. It's about acting with compassion, even when forgiveness may never come. Rains fall understands that better than anyone. In Arthur's final days, his words to Rains Fall carry a quiet honesty he rarely allows himself. He admits fear, regret, and uncertainty. Rains Fall listens without trying to fix him. That moment matters because Arthur doesn't need saving. He needs acknowledgement. Rains Fall gives him that, not as a judge or a savior, but as someone who recognizes suffering in another human being. Ultimately, Arthur and Rains Fall's relationship represents the soul of Red Dead Redemption 2. It shows that redemption isn't loud or heroic. It's choosing patience over rage, listening over speaking, and protecting what little goodness remains even when the world insists on destroying it. Arthur doesn't become a better man because he survives. He becomes a better man because before he dies, he learns how to care without expecting anything in return. What makes Arthur's bond with Rains Fall linger long after the credits roll is that it's the one relationship untouched by lies. Arthur doesn't pretend to be better than he is, and Rains Fall doesn't pretend the world will suddenly become fair. Their honesty exists in the space between hope and acceptance. When Rains Fall tells Arthur that the land has been taken piece by piece, he isn't just speaking about the Wapiti. He's describing Arthur's own life, worn down by choices, loyalty, and time. Arthur understands that parallel by the end. Helping Rains Fall isn't about correcting history, it's about refusing to add to its cruelty. That realization shapes Arthur's final acts more than any gunfight or betrayal ever could. In a story filled with loud deaths and shattered dreams, the quiet respect between these two men stands as proof that dignity can survive even when everything else is being stripped away.